Hey everybody, today I have a 2001 BMW 325CI and the customer wants the rear wheel bearings replaced. So he brought his own parts. So I haven't taken the wheels off yet. Let me go ahead and show you the wheel bearings. These bearings here are a sealed bearing that presses into the rear assembly, and then the hub, you got new hubs, and the new hub presses into the bearing. So first things first, first thing we need to do is pull the wheels off and take all the brake stuff off. So I will show you as I take the stuff off, but we're gonna take the wheels off, we're gonna get the brakes off, and I'll come back. Alrighty, I got the wheel taken off, and then you take and pull the rubber plugs here and this little clip out, and then there is 7mm sliders right here and here that you have to take off. Then the caliper slides off. After you get the caliper off, then you have the caliper mounting bracket that has two bolts that are 16mm or 15. They are 16. Yeah, 16mm. So then you take those two off. Then after you get those off, the bracket comes off. Then there is another bolt here that retains the rotor that you have to get off, and that is a, I can't read it. I think it says 6mm. That's a 6mm. All right, then you tap this with a hammer, and then the rotor will slide off. I went outside and got my old cart so I can put parts and tools in. So now we're down to this. Now we need to get the axle nut off. The axle nut is a 30mm socket. We need to bend these tangs back so we can get the nuts off. And then we'll go underneath and start getting the axles out. Since this one is a convertible, there's a couple more steps you have to do on this one. This one has this extra support brackets underneath on both sides, and so it's going to be in the way of dropping the exhaust down to get the axle out. And we also have to drop the sway bar down. So I'm going to go ahead and get the axle nut off here. Since I have the tools out, I'll go ahead and take the other side apart since we're doing both of them, and I'll come back when we get underneath the car to start taking the axles out. I'll go ahead and take these nuts off now. Alrighty, so I got all the brake stuff taken apart. That's good. So now what we need to do is, since this is a convertible, it has these extra support pieces here. There's 16mm, there's 60mm here, 60mm here. These two tie the bars together, so I do not believe I have to take those two out. There's another one up here, but I think that's a 13, and then another 16. We got to get this bar out of here. Then after we take this bar out, we're gonna have to take this plate. This is another convertible bar. We're gonna take this plate out so we can drop the exhaust down enough to let the axle come out of here. We're also gonna have to take the sway bar loose at the sway bar bushing. I don't know if I'm gonna have to do it at the sway bar link pins or not. Some people say you do, some people say you don't. I'm gonna try to do it without. So let me get this bar out, and then get the exhaust drop down. It's just on rubber gasket, but we have to take that down. So let me continue on and let me get this stuff taken out, and I'll come back and show you where I'm at. Alrighty, there is that convertible bracing I had to get out of the way. It's got a 16, a 16, a 16, a 16, and a 13 and a 13mm headed bolt. So then after we did that, these are also 13mm bolts that hold this plate in that drop down. It has two rubber mounts here and here that holds the muffler up. I popped those off. I have the jiggle jack supporting it here, and I have a block of wood so it's pushed down. Then we had to take the sway bar down. Sway bar, it's a 13mm headed nut and bolt here that goes through right here. Like sway bar down. I hope that's going to give me enough room to get that axle out. So now we need to get these reverse torques out. They are what did I say they were? They are E12s. So there are 6 of those. So we'll get those all busted free, and hopefully the axle come down and slide out. That will come out and slide. We might have to do some finagling with this. If we have to take the sway bar link pins out, it's a 13 and a 13, and they are nuts and bolts. So let me get the E12s out of the axles. Let's see if we can get the axles slid out. Alrighty, I've got all 6 bolts out of the inside CV joint. I have marked it. So now we're gonna take and lift this up and set it right there. And unfortunately, this is stuck in the hub. So we're gonna use a little air hammer persuasion just to go ahead and get that knocked out. Back over here. So now, supposedly, we should be able, yes, just pull the axle right out. So I think the other one will come out. The other one's gonna be a little bit tighter to get to because the bolts are up in here, not a lot of room with the muffler and everything. So if you wanna take the exhaust off, you can to give yourself extra room, but that can open up another big can of worms. All right, so now I got that side to take apart, and let's see. I really don't hear anything wrong with this bearing, but all right. Alrighty, let me get that other axle out, and when we come back, we'll start pulling the hubs off and getting the bearings out. Alrighty, so we got both axles out. The other axle came right out. So we put our big slide hammer on here, and we're gonna try to get this hub pulled. Okay, Mikey, come hit it. So all you do is you just take the weight and you bang it. All right, go ahead. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. One more. Maybe another one. All righty. And look, the bearing completely stayed in the hub. So now to get this bearing out, we have to take this C-clip out, and then we're going to be using a special tool called a hub shark that has all these adapters. I'll set it up and show you how to use it in a second. So now we got to pull the other hub off the other side still. Alrighty, we're gonna get the snap ring out. I have my snap ring pliers. We're gonna put these in here. We're gonna pull this in, and out comes the snap ring. So like I said, we're gonna use the hub shark to pull this bearing out. So I'm gonna put this adapter on the inside, all right? And then we're gonna need to put a receiver on this because the bearing, obviously since there is a snap ring here, the bearing comes out this way. Now there is an ABS sensor. You got to make sure you don't break your ABS sensor, but it is well out of the way. So you're going to put the hub shark together like this. Okay, and when you use this hub shark, I have no problem taking the bearings apart with an impact gun. That makes it easier, but you never want to use the impact gun to reinstall the bearings. You need to do that by hand so you don't, mess up the bearings, because the impacts and the shock will take and could tear up the balls or the rollers in the bearings. So you never want to install these with an impact, but taking them out with an impact shouldn't be a problem. I don't know if this battery powered impact is going to be strong enough to do the job. We might have to get the big pneumatic one. All right, that's tight. All right, so now we're going to take a wrench and put it on the inside. All right, here we go. So now the bearing, you see that orange thing? The bearing is inside here and it is out. It is out of the hub. So that's the bearing there. So now to put it in, we're gonna do kind of the same thing. Let me get set up to put it in and I'll show you how to put it in. All right, so here's the new bearing. Here is the adapter that I'm going to use to press in the hub, the bearing. As you see, this fits the outside of the bearing nice and tight, okay? I've seen other people use this to press the bearing in. Well, if you use that to press the bearing in, you are asking for possibly damaging the bearing. So that's why you want to use this on the outside. So now this is all going to go on the outside just like this. And now I have an adapter for the inside. Go ahead and put this through. And we're going to use this adapter on the inside so it doesn't take and come close to the ABS sensor. And then we need, always have to put the washer on. And now the nut. So we put that all together. All right, so we're all ready. I'm just gonna check and make sure that I'm far enough away from the ABS sensor. Yes, I am. So like I said, you do not want to use an impact gun to put this thing back together. We are just gonna use old-fashioned tools. I sprayed the inside with a little bit of lubricant. I'm gonna spray the outside of the bearing with a little bit of lubricant. And now for the boring part, we are just going to start pressing the bearing in. I'm going to turn the wrench around and let it. So I put the wrench on the inside here, but I have it trapped on the hub so it won't move. So now we'll just go ahead and just keep putting the bearing in. This bearing's going in nice, very nice. Let's see, looking good in there. And you gotta make sure it's all the way in, and you get the snap ring back there. And you'll know when it gets all the way in because see how easy it's been moving, and then it will all of a sudden stop. All right, it just stopped. So that means it's all the way in. So I'll go ahead and back this off. So So this is stuck. We'll just take and tap that with a hammer, and that should come right out. Come on, baby. All right, so there's all the pieces of the hub shark I used. All right, since that's not going to come off, we'll take this should fit. This will fit through the inside of the bearing. So we'll just put this back up through here and we'll tap it out. Let me get this back out and I'll come back and show you how to put the hub in. All right, yeah, that piece to push it in got stuck. I just took and popped it back, took the hub shark and hammered on it, and it just fell right out. So now be sure you got to replace your snap ring. So we're going to put the snap ring back in. All right, snap ring's back in. It fell down in its groove. That's good. So now we'll get the hub and start getting the hub. I'll go ahead and set it up. When I come back, I'll have it all set up. So on the hub, we are going to need a piece like this, because the hub has got to press into these two pieces. So we're going to need something like this to grab the inner bearing race. This one's a little small. Let's see this one. It's all just trial and error. That's the best one. So now this is going to go on the inside, and now the hub is going to go here, and we're going to put the screw through it and tighten it all back up. So let me go ahead and put it back together the rest of the way, and I'll come back showing you screwing it together. All right, so I have the shaft in and the nut and the receiver on the inside, and now we're going to do the same thing to do that we did to get the bearing in. We're just going to go ahead and put the wrench on the inside and hold it, and hopefully that'll pin itself. Go. So we'll just have to keep a little pressure on this so the wrench in the back doesn't fall off. So here, I'll give it a shot. So basically, there's the back part of the hub shark right there with the wrench and the adapter in there. So we just go ahead and keep wrenching on it. Like I said, you want to keep a little pressure on it so the inside wrench doesn't fall off, so you don't have to hold it. But it fell off, so. Like I said, no impact gun. No impact guns. You can damage the bearing with an impact gun. This thing is going in like butter, so it should not be a problem. Readjust the wrench inside, pressure on it, and it fell off. There we go. That's tight enough. When we come back and put the axle in and torque that, if this isn't in all the way, the axle will pull it in the rest of the way. So that's all the way in. Let's break it free. So now we can get the hub shark part of the tool out. And like I said, oh, look at that. Pretty, pretty. I'm just using the impact gun to get the tool out. Alrighty, I got the hub shark off. As you can see, it spins very nicely. It's all installed properly. We did not use an impact gun to install it because you're not supposed to. So now we just have to do the other side, same way. We're gonna get the slide hammer over here and slide off the hub, take the snap ring out, get the hub shark in here with a receipt, make it a receiver and receive the bearing. Get that out, and then we're going to make the hub shark the pusher, to push the bearing back in and to push the hub back on. So now we just have to start I've got to do that side. Got to do that side over there, but this side is done. So now you put your axle back in, you put your axle bolts back in, you put your sway bar up, you put your exhaust back on, then you put all your brake stuff up. This video's probably gone long far enough because nobody's going to watch it to the end anyway. If you do, I'll be quite surprised. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Please subscribe. You can always do that in that corner. Please give me a thumbs up if you like my automotive videos. Please comment and share. But this one went pretty easy. A lot of stuff to take apart. And we will catch you on the next video. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody.